guys. Today is Monday. It is the start of the new week and I have been so excited to read this book. This is the Reappearance of Rachel Price by Hailie Jackson. She's the same author that wrote the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, and I've only read the first book of that series so far, but I really enjoyed it. So this was already on like my highly anticipated releases for the year, and I cannot wait to get into it. I actually did start it last night. I am, let's see, 7 chapters in. I'm on page 66 right now, and so far I'm intrigued. I do have some thoughts like about where this may lead, but I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. I realized it's been a hot minute since I have done a reading vlog, and I have been meaning to. It's just life keeps happening. So this week I'm dedicating it to thrillers. The reason I decided to do thrillers for this week's reading vlog is because I do have a handful of new releases that I'm just excited to get into, but two, I feel like thrillers are a good way to get me out of a reading slump, which I feel like I've been in for the entire year, and I don't know if it's just because life is crazy, I'm just not able to read as much, so maybe not so much of a slump, just busy. But also, the books that I have read this year, I feel like I haven't been wowed by that many of them. Been a lot of 3 stars this year. So I need something to excite me and interest me, and this one, right off the bat, is already doing that. So I do have high hopes for today's vlog. So like I said, I did start this book already last night, but basically the premise of this book is that 16 years ago, Rachel Price disappeared, and the only person around that saw something or witnessed her disappearance was her 2-year-old daughter, who obviously could not remember what the heck happened. So the disappearance of Rachel Price turned into a cold case. And now, 16 years later, they're doing a documentary on her disappearance. Where I'm at in the book right now, still very early on, they are interviewing Rachel's family as well as her husband's side of his family and the daughter, Belle. And you can tell Belle has a lot of like resentment almost for being always in the shadow of her mother's disappearance. So she's not having a great time with this documentary. Like many true crime cases, a lot of the suspicion falls on the husband, which is of course Belle's dad. And right now, I don't really know how this documentary is planning on painting this entire case, but what I do know is that Rachel Price actually reappears. She comes back with this crazy story, and Belle, her daughter, she doesn't quite believe it. So she looks into the truth and figures out what the heck happened to Rachel Price. Where has her mother been the last 16 years? This book is a little bit of a chunk. It's over 400 pages, 430 pages. So I want to make a decent dent into this one, at least get a third of the way through. But I'll keep you guys updated on my thoughts. Quick update for you guys. I have just gotten to chapter 18, page 158. So definitely making good progress with this book, a little bit over a third of the way through it. So far, I am really enjoying this. It's reminding me a lot of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, where the main character is kind of carrying out her own investigation into the case. Right now in the book, Rachel Price has already reappeared, and it's definitely a very bizarre story, a little bit suspicious, so I understand why Belle thinks she's lying. Belle has kind of teamed up with one of the guys that was working on the documentary for the disappearance, now reappearance, of Rachel Price. It's the sound guy, and he's such a funny character. He's a very goofy dude, like very loud, eccentric clothing, whereas Belle is very like cynical, closed off, sarcastic, kind of grumpy. So they make a very fun duo. Like their banter is really, really good. So they've kind of made a team of their own to investigate behind the scenes here. But it is definitely a fast-paced read. So far, I feel like this would be a really good book to come out of a reading slump, because it's just one of those that makes you want to keep reading to figure out what is going on here. I really like the story a lot, and I can't wait to see how it unfolds. I feel like I'll be able to make a pretty good dent in this by tonight. Hopefully at least halfway through this book. It's getting very, very interesting. Just got to chapter 40. I'm on page 322. So getting really close to the end here, and it is getting so crazy. I really thought that I knew where this was heading in the beginning, like I had it all figured out, and now I feel like I was way off base. There's a bunny outside. It's nibbling on my rug. So cute. Beanie, look. You see the bunny? That was the cutest interruption ever. We get a ton of bunnies in the backyard, and usually like Aspen will watch them through the window. It's so cute, but they never get that close. Like, that bunny was peeking into our windows. That was the cutest thing ever. Anyways, getting crazy. Definitely was off base here, and now I'm pretty certain I know what's happening here, but I could be wrong again. There's only like 100 pages left though, so I definitely plan on wrapping this one up today. Okay, so I did end up finishing The Reappearance of Rachel Price last night, but I needed a minute to kind of process the ending before I came on and gave you guys my thoughts, because up until the ending there, I was really loving this book and planning on rating it very highly, but as everything unfolded in the ending, it was just kind of to the point where it was a little silly. It's one of those books where you get to the ending and you're like, oh my gosh, that's it, that's the ending, that's so crazy. And then it just keeps pushing and pushing for more twists, and just it gets more and more unbelievable and chaotic, and it just feels like very discombobulated. Like, nothing really made sense towards the end there. So at the very first twist and like the big reveal of where Rachel Price was all of this time and what actually happened, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. Wasn't fully satisfied. I didn't expect it. So I still enjoyed it. And then it kept going, and it just got more and more unbelievable, where you're just like, this would literally never happen. They would never get away with this. Like, it makes no logical sense. And I don't even need fiction books to be like 100% factual. Like, I'm totally fine like pushing the boundaries, using my imagination, whatever, but this was just like so goofy. Just no. So I'm definitely disappointed on how this book ended. It didn't need to do all of that. So I did end up giving it 3 stars because the first 2/3 of the book were really good, really interesting. I did end up reading some of the reviews last night because I was so curious to see how others felt about the ending, and I saw a lot of people say they didn't really like any of the characters in this book, but I did. Like, Belle, the main character, is kind of a bitch. Very sarcastic and very guarded because she deals with all of the abandonment. She thinks that her mother literally abandoned her 16 years ago. So obviously you're gonna be like a little bit closed off from people, and I enjoyed her, and like I said, I really enjoyed her and the duo of her with Ash, the guy that was working on the documentary as well. So I really did not share those feelings at all. I enjoyed the main characters. The dad I was interested in, Jeff and Sherry, they were funny. Rachel, I wasn't sure what to think about the whole time. Obviously you're trying to figure her out. Overall, I thought the characters were fine. And this book definitely had me like turning page after page, like excited to figure out where we were going. So up until the very end there, I was fully on board. So moving on to my next read, I decided to go for The Resort. I've been pretty excited for this one. I got it in my February book of the month. I guess we're in like a book of the month mood right now. I feel like a lot of my books lately have been from book of the month. I haven't done a lot of like in-store book shopping, but every time I do my little monthly picks, I always do the add-ons. So I get like 5 book of the month books a month. I have heard good things about this one so far, and a lot of people say that it's a very quick, easy read, which is just what we are in the mood for this week. So in this one, we have Cass, who is on the coast of Thailand's world-famous party city, and she's searching for an escape. Years later, she is still on this island, and she's alongside the Permanents, which is another group of expats who have claimed the island as their own, and all of these people have pasts that they are leaving behind or trying to run from. And it says that Cass is a local dive instructor alongside the Permanents. I don't know if that means that the Permanents are dive instructors as well, but Cass is a dive instructor, and suddenly a dive student is found dead, and paradise comes crashing down. Because this isn't the first mysterious death on the island, and it won't be the last. Someone knows who Cass is, and they're ready to make sure justice is finally served. I'm excited. Let's see how long this one is. It's definitely a little shorter than the last book. This one is right around 360 pages. So we'll see what this one is all about, but prayers for a better ending than our last book. I just got to chapter 5, which is page 55, and I think I'm taking a break from this one today. It kind of has a slow start so far. Like, although everything is happening right away, like within the first few pages there, we know immediately that Cass is running from something and somebody already knows who she is and they're determined to expose her. But I'm having a hard time at the moment kind of getting into this one as easily as the last book. I think I'm a little bit distracted today as well because there's a bunch of other stuff happening, but it just hasn't fully captured my attention yet. But we have the point of view of two people, Cass, who we know from the inside jacket and what I just said is the one running from something. She's been on the island for about 3 years now. But we also have Brooke, who's only been at the island for about 2 weeks. She's a travel influencer and has befriended Cass. That's all I really know about the two of them. There are a few like interesting side characters so far, including like the permanents on the island and Cass's current dive students. So I still don't really have an idea of where everything is headed yet or who I should be like suspicious of, but like I said, I'm going to tackle this again tomorrow. Take a little break today. Oh my goodness, it is a rough one today. Bear with me, you guys. I have had the craziest seasonal allergies and nothing is working for me. Normally, I have good luck with like Zyrtec or like Flonase. This year, it's just like they're out of control. Like nothing is working. So I thought that I got a sty in my eye. It was so red and swollen last night and it hurts. Maybe there is. I should probably not touch it. But I've been rubbing my eyes so much because they're just so itchy. So I think it's definitely irritated, which is why I was like, okay, let's not do makeup today. I don't want to risk it. Is this better or worse? I don't know. I think worse. So these are the vibes today, but we're comfy. And I did make I think I'm halfway through now. I'm on page 176, chapter 18. It's gotten much better. Not that it was bad. I just was not into it right away. Now I'm into it and I have my suspicions, but as promised from the inside jacket, one of the diving school students did end up dead. This is not the only person that has wound up dead on this island recently. Brooke is launching a full investigation of her own and I really like her. There is still someone out there threatening Cass as well, and at this point I don't know if it's one person, a group of people, I don't know. But I got my eyes out right now, at least the good one. We shall see. Okay, I am back, doing much better today. My eye looks better. And I also wrapped up reading The Resort, which I really ended up enjoying. And I told you guys at the very beginning there, I wasn't really sure. It wasn't like pulling me in right off the bat, but it ended up picking up the pace and it definitely turned into a very quick, fast-paced read with lots of twists and turns, and I would definitely rate this one higher than the Reappearance of Rachel Price. I think I'm going to go with 4 stars for this one. There were a few pieces of this book that turned out to be pretty predictable, but it still had a few crazy twists in there that I definitely did not see coming. So overall, I really like this one and would definitely recommend it. I think it would be a great beach read. I did already end up starting my next book of the week. This is Darling Girls. I decided to stay on theme with all of the book of the month books that we've been reading this week. I'm already on chapter 7, page 48, and I really like this one so far. I feel like this is going to be a good one. It is about 3 foster sisters who grew up in a foster home, and you do have the point of view of each sister in here, which I like. And slowly I am getting the backstory of what happened throughout their childhood, starting with one of the sisters, Jessica. I already know based on the description here that they did have rough childhoods growing up with Mrs. Fairchild, and now years later, a detective contacts them and is like, hey, we found remains at your old foster home. It says here, when a body is discovered under the home they grew up in, the foster sisters find themselves thrust into the spotlight as key witnesses, or are they prime suspects? I feel like this is going to be a roller coaster. I do have one other book by this author, but I haven't read it yet. It's been on my shelf for a while. The reason that I ended up picking this one up is, one, I just got it in my April book of the month box, and 2, it just looked kind of summery, like with the pool here. Now that I'm getting into it, I don't know how summery it's going to be, but that is what caught my eye originally. This one is only 355 pages, so about the same length as The Resort. I feel like I'll be able to wrap this one up pretty easily and then close out the week with these 3 thrillers. Okay, I got a large Diet Coke to help get me through the day because this book is getting so good. I really want to wrap it up today. Also, can we just take a second to talk about how cute my hoodie is? I got this from Lonely Ghost this morning. They sent me this and a few other like tops and hoodies, and they're so cute. I love the little bow so much. I was so excited. So anyways, I am on page 173, chapter 24, and right now I'm still kind of getting the backstory of what the childhood for the 3 foster girls was with Mrs. Fairchild. And for whatever reason, my mind keeps going to Matilda. Because Mrs. Fairchild, the foster mother, is kind of described as looking like Miss Honey. But she gives these foster children the most cruel and unusual punishments and just is so completely awful that she's just reminding me of whatever the principal's name was. I forgot her name. Miss Trunchbull. Okay, so she looks like Miss Honey, acts like Miss Trunchbull. Like, this lady is evil and awful, and it's just ugh. I do definitely need to give this one a trigger warning because there is child abuse in here, and obviously we know that bones were found underneath the house, but we don't know whose exactly. But like I mentioned earlier, we have the point of view of all 3 foster kids, and then we have present day and like past, but we also have a point of view of somebody kind of talking about their childhood, and I have an idea of who it is. It doesn't say, but just like context clues here. That's definitely an interesting addition. But another thing I really like so far is how real the characters feel, because obviously they've gone through a ton. They have lots of baggage and childhood trauma. But of course, you're going to have different ways of coping with that, and it's very interesting to see each character's way that they have coped. So the goal today is to wrap this one up, which I definitely think I can do, especially with this bad boy helping me. I got this. Okay, I just got to chapter 32, and obviously I don't want to give you guys spoilers, so I'm very limited at what I can say, but it's definitely getting very interesting and just more and more strange, and I feel like the dots are kind of connecting at this point. I have an idea of one, whose body it may be and who might be at fault for that, but I also feel like maybe that's the obvious answer, so I don't know what to think. I don't know. I also feel like so far, I guess it's a thriller. I don't know. It's not necessarily like thrilling, like you're not on the edge of your seat. It's kind of like a mystery. Anyway, things are getting even more bizarre, and I'm just like, what? I don't know. Okay, I just finished it. All in all, these were all very fast-paced reads. I do think that I ended up getting through this one the quickest, and I think probably is the shortest. 3:55, and this one was like 3:62, so it was a little bit shorter, but like I said, I wasn't like super into this one right off the bat, whereas this one, I was more into it. So I guess that made me finish it up just a tad quicker than the last one, but all in all, pretty great reading week. This one definitely had twists and turns that I did not see coming. I was like right on the trail. I got some things right, but there were some twists and like a little chapter at the end that I did not see coming. This one I really enjoyed. It did start to feel a little cheesy, for lack of a better word, at certain parts, but it is still like heavy. There's a lot of heaviness to this book, but I like the way that things wrapped up at the end. We kind of got to see like where the foster girls ended up and like how going through this and like kind of reliving their childhoods again almost made them realize some things. But yeah, definitely heavy and sad and just but I enjoyed it. I think I would give this one, I think I want to give it 4 stars as well. So 2 4 stars and then a 3 star just because the ending, okay? And I don't like to do half stars, so keep that in mind. Like, I just do whatever I am allowed to do on Goodreads, and I just keep it simple. But I definitely enjoyed this reading week. I hope that you guys enjoyed following along with me. I feel so out of practice with reading vlogs, so I don't know if this was like the most boring video ever. I enjoyed doing it, and it felt nice to get through so many books in a short time span because it's been a while since I have done that. I think now that I've read these 3, I'm finally caught up on my Goodreads reading goal for the year. Last year, my reading goal was like 100 books and I read like 98. I was so close. This year I was like, okay, let me pull it back. And I went with 75 books, and I'm already so behind this year. Not now, after these 3, because I've consistently been like 2 or 3 books behind on my goal. So anyways, guys, let me know if you have read any of these and what your thoughts were. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys again very soon. Bye!